Hi everyone, I'm Angie and welcome to Make It Monday. So today we are going to make a set of Valentine cards using old book pages as a design element in the card. So we have a lot to get done, so let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. These are the cards that we're going to make today. We're going to make 3 different cards, and as you can see, book pages are a design element in each of the cards. Now, the book pages came from an old book that was falling apart at the library that we could not repair. So don't think that we damaged any new books in doing this. These are old books that just are beyond repair. So it's a good way to recycle those pages into a new life. So we are going to get started. We're going to start with this card first. So I'm going to kind of keep that in the frame so you can kind of see what it's going to look like. So for this, you're going to have several pieces in your little packet. And I've got each card individually packeted so that you'll know what goes with what card and it's not all dumped together. So you're going to have a heart cut out of a book page like this, and this is going to become our envelope. You'll have several hearts, and what I used is different size paper punches like this. You can find these at any craft store. So if you're looking to redo these cards on your own or make more of them, you can find a lot of different size heart punches at the craft store. And then it's just cardstock. So you want, for a card base, you want a cardstock that's about 80 pounds or higher. If it gets too much lower than that, the card base just doesn't hold up. For your layering pieces, this can be a lighter weight cardstock. So this is probably about a 65-pound cardstock that I used for this. And then I had some stamps, so I just stamped the sentiment on there. So we are going to start by making our envelope. And on your heart, you will notice some indentation lines. What I did is I went through and I scored this so that this would be easy for you guys to fold. So there's a score line here, and then one across the bottom, and that's going to fold up into our envelope. So to do this, you'll see that there's an indentation line. That's actually the outside. Sometimes, and then on the inside, there's a bump line. So you want the indentation line is going to be the outside of your envelope. So you're going to fold the 2 sides in. Fold this side in, and they'll fold pretty much right on those score lines. And then you're going to fold this up, and there is your little envelope. So we need to adhere this. So I am just going to use a little piece of double stick tape. You can use a glue stick as well. For this, it doesn't have to be double stick tape. So if you have a glue stick, and even liquid glue would work, you just don't want to use too much of it. In fact, I'm going to use just a little bit of liquid glue just up on that upper corner there where my tape doesn't reach real well. And then you're just going to fold that up. And there is our little envelope. So I'm going to slide this just to the side here because I don't want to get stuff all over it. So then we're going to take this and we're going to mount this in the bottom area of our card front. So again, I'm going to take some double stick tape and just tape this down to the front of my card. And again, you can use a glue stick. I'm sorry, that is my dog out there barking, so I apologize for the noise. Okay, so we're going to take and mount this down towards the bottom half of our card front. So it's going to look like that. Okay, so the next easiest thing to do is I'm going to slide all these punch tarts off of this. Is before you glue all these on, it's easier to mount this to the front of your card. So again, we're going to take some double stick tape or a glue stick. And we are going to just put some tape around the outside edge. And I like to put it all the way around. I don't want my card front to come loose when the person that I mailed it to gets the card. Okay, and so then you're just going to center this on top of that black piece, and there should be plenty of room for an even border. Okay, so now we have this mounted to the card base. Now it's time to lay our punched out hearts on there. And all I did is I just kind of lay them out how I like them. There is no right or wrong way. I did kind of cut these so that they would go biggest size to smallest side. That's most aesthetically pleasing when you're making a card. So you're just going to kind of lay these out. And I'm not going to sit and glue all of these on here. And then this is where I had asked everybody to kind of have a pair of tweezers. This is where a tweezers really comes in handy because you get these small hearts and it's so hard to glue them. So I like to take and put my glue on a piece of paper, and hopefully you can see this. It's just a sticky note that I put down and I put some glue on there. And I've just got a toothpick here. And you don't need a bunch of glue, but it makes it a little bit easier to just dab it on there. And the tweezers helps because it just helps me hold on to things, especially these little pieces. So you're just going to glue your punched out hearts onto the card front. And they can be any which way. So you're just going to take and glue all of those on there. Like I said, you don't want to sit and watch me glue all this together. So by the time you get everything glued on, your card front is finished. So next, we have a piece for the inside. And that again is just another white piece. And I've stamped Happy Valentines on there, so you're just going to mount that to the inside of your card. Again, it will have a nice border. And then I took some of the extra hearts and I just decorated that up. So again, placement is however you want them. So you're just going to glue your hearts down inside and your first card is done. And also in your packet you will find an envelope for every card that you made so that they are all set to go and ready to mail for Valentine's Day. Okay, so this one is done and we are going to move on to our next card. I'm just going to slide this stuff out of the way. And the next card we are going to make is this one here. Okay, so I'm going to just give you a little bit of what I did to prep for this card. So again, this is just a white piece of cardstock, similar to the one before. And I just took a fine line black pen, so like a fine line Sharpie will work. Any fine line pen, even a ballpoint pen you can do this with. And I took and I drew lines 3/4 of an inch from the edge, and then again 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch. So that those lines are all on there. And what I did is I have a see-through ruler, and so that worked really well because I could do 3/4 of an inch and then move it and get everything lined up and move it again. So then what you'll find is several of these punched out regular hearts and several hearts that I punched out that I colored red for you. I wasn't sure if everybody would have a red, and all I did to color that with is a red Crayola marker. So nothing fancy, you don't need any kind of fancy pen. And I did a little bit of prep work on these ahead, so I've got those ready to go. So how you're going to get these hearts made is you're going to take your main heart and you're going to fold it in half. So just line up the edges and fold it in half. And you're also going to do that with your little red heart, which I know this is a little putsy. It got a little small. Again, tweezers are your friend for this. So what you're going to do is with the red folded heart, and again, this is where a toothpick and liquid glue works really well. You're just going to take and run some liquid glue right along that fold. And then again, here's where the tweezers come in handy. You're just gonna, so you've got your crease here. Whoa, runaway heart. You're gonna line that up into the center there and then close it. And with the liquid glue, if you open it up, see, mine is not quite right. So you can move it a little bit. So just kind of line that up in there. And I'm going to close it again just to kind of course, on camera this is not working as easy as it should be. Kind of line that up. I'm just going to hold it with my tweezers and I'm going to squeeze again. And if you use like a craft tacky glue, that sets up a little faster than an Elmer's glue. So, okay. Sorry, I'm making this look harder than it is. It's actually pretty easy. And now it doesn't want to stick. So, try it again. Put a little bit more glue on there. Probably moved it around too much. And this is the beauty of trial and error crafting on camera. So let's plop that in there again. Make sure I got it in the center. Okay, I'm going to just hold that closed a little bit longer this time. There we go. And then I want to just lift up the edges a little bit, then set it aside, let it dry. So what I did is I made a bunch of these last night so that you wouldn't have to sit and watch me do that. And so all of these are glued, and all I'm doing is just kind of pinching up that red heart a little bit. And all this does is just gives it a little bit more dimension so not everything is laying flat on your card. Just going to punch that up a little bit. Okay, so on these lines, you are just going to take and stagger these hearts a little bit. And then make sure you have room for your sentiment, which is going to go here. And see how this piece is sticking off? We're going to trim that after we put it on here. So I kind of try and line everything up a little bit. Kind of where I want it, get my sentiment in there. And so that's kind of how it's going to look. So what I'm going to do is glue my sentiment down quick first. And I'm just going to, again, use double stick tape on the back of this. And I'm just going to line that up. And it looks straight. So then I'm going to press it down. Okay, then, oh, hang on, I'm going to grab a scissors because I forgot to grab them. Then the easiest way to trim that is to just flip it over and trim off whatever is sticking off the edge. Okay, so we've got that back on there. So now you can take and glue down. I'm going to relay these out again. You can take and glue down these hearts. The other thing you're going to find in your packet is these gems. Now, you're not going to have a whole sheet like this, but you're going to get a whole strip of them. And these are adhesive back gems, which means they have adhesive on the back already, so you don't have to glue them. So for these hearts, again, just get some liquid glue, put a few dots on the back. Again, I like to use my tweezers, and you're just going to line these up on the lines. And then you're going to press the white piece down, the white part of the book page, and then that red part's going to stick up. So the adhesive back gems, so you're going to glue all those down. If you pick these up, again, this is where tweezers comes in handy. You're just going to line those up. Whoa. Of course, it's sticking to the tweezers. And line those up and just press those down And so you're going to design the whole front of your page until that's all done. When you've got that all done, you're going to take and mount, I'm just going to take that off, you're going to mount that onto your black piece of paper, just like that. You're going to have an inside piece again that says Happy Valentine's Day. You're going to mount that onto the inside, and then there's some extra red hearts inside. So then I just take and place them on the inside. It's kind of nice to decorate the inside so that when whoever you send it to opens it up, there's an element from the outside that also is on the inside. So that is our second card done. All right, we're going to move this stuff aside and we are going to go to our third card. And that is this card here, which is a flower made with folded hearts. So this heart was a little bit bigger. It's a scallop heart like this. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're actually going to tape our red piece onto our white piece, because when we start adding these to this, we want that already mounted. So for film, I'm not going to do that, but that's one of the first things you want to do. And the piece you're going to mount it to is just a blank white piece like this, and then it's going to mount to your card front. So how we're going to get these petals is this is again just a punched out heart, and we are going to fold these in half. So there's a little scalloped edge on this, which will help you actually kind of line it up. And if it's not lined up perfectly, don't worry about it. So we're going to fold all of these in half. And again, I've done some prep work, so I've got some of these already done. Then what you want to do, and that is just for this size here, you're going to take just a little bit of glue and put it just at the base part of the heart. And the reason I do this is when you put the flower together and you want to put a gem in the center, if those are sticking up, it makes it really hard to get that gem down in the center. So I've learned that if you just put a little bit of glue and glue that center point down, it just makes it a little bit easier to lay that out. Okay, so now there's 8 of these petal pieces for the flower. So trying to get these lined up on your card, and I'm going to flip this around so I have a little better gauge of where I put this on the card. What I like to do is there's openings on these. I like to have the openings all face the same direction. And there's 8 of them, so it's going to be 4 on one half of the petal and 4 on the other. So you're going to line these kind of all up where you want them on your card front, with that opening all facing the same direction. Put this down just a little bit farther than what I have it. So I'm going to scoot it down just a little bit. Okay. Then what I do is I take a pencil, and once I kind of know where I want this on the card, I just take and draw a little circle point with my pencil. So that gives me kind of a gauge of where to glue to. And then you're just going to start gluing. And again, your tweezers kind of help. And I always seem to like to start at the right. So I just kind of start gluing down. And if you wanted to, you could kind of glue, I got extra glue there, but it's not going to show. You can kind of glue across from each other. I kind of like to just lay everything on here and then just pick the individual pieces up. So I'll kind of just, again, roughly lay out where everything is going to go. And then I'll continue gluing these down. Just going to lay that in there. And they're going to end up being pretty close to each other by the time you get everything laid out. And a lot of times that last petal you can fudge. And remember, flowers are not perfect in nature, so do not worry about if it's not exactly perfect. And that pencil mark is going to get covered up with the gem. So I'll glue one more on here so we've got half of this done. And you can kind of spin your paper around as you need to get everything laid out in here. Okay, so we've got half of our flower on there. Then, which I seem to have not grabbed, here's my package of extra pieces. I'm just going to grab out some of those smaller, oh, maybe I don't have any in here. Okay, well, we're just going to borrow one of these for the purpose of that. Okay, so also you're going to have some smaller hearts, which are this size. So you're just going to have to picture that this is a book page heart. And you're going to fold those in half, and there should be 3 of them. And these are just, they kind of give the card a little bit of movement. So those are going to get put in different spots. So I like to put 2 kind of towards the top and then 1 coming off the bottom like this. And so those, you don't have to glue the points on them, they're just going to get glued down. Again, it just kind of gives the card, it draws your eye down the card so that it's not just a focal point and a saying, it kind of draws your eye down the card, which is why I did that. And then you're also going to have one of these big pearl gems. Again, these are adhesive back, so you don't need to put any adhesive on the back. So just peel them off the plastic and put that right in the center of your heart, or your flower. Sorry, it's a heart flower. Okay, so then you'll have all your petals glued down, you'll have your heart on there. You're going to take all of this, you're going to layer that, that's going to be layered onto the white piece, you're going to layer that onto your black card front like that. And then you have an inside piece, which there's also a red heart, which that's just going to get mounted under there, as you can see on the finished card. So then you have all of that in there. I will warn you if you're going to mail this card. The post office does not like things that stick out of the card like that when you put it in an envelope. So what I usually do is I cut another piece of cardstock and I stick it over the front of that and then put the card in the envelope, and they've all gone through the post service that way. So hopefully the post office will not make you put this in a bubble envelope or something like that. So I hope you enjoyed making these cards. I hope everything made sense. If you have any questions, you can call me at the library, 507-263-2804. I'll be happy to answer any questions for you. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this and have a happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for joining me.